Good evening. My name is Ralph Casals, Town Manager, Town of Cutler Bay. Welcome to our open mic night. I know we have some folks here in the audience and we have some viewers at home. This is our second open mic night. The first one was back in April 24. And this is where I provide the community an update of what's going on, some of the topics that we're discussing, and also provides a nice informal environment to have a engagement back and forth, either the folks that are here in the audience as well as online. So today we have our town clerk, Mauricio Milano there. We have our communication manager, Rod Gibson, back there on the side, on my side here, and they'll chime in when we have some folks with some questions there. So with that, let's go ahead and do a little quick PowerPoint presentation. We can key it up. Okay. And before we start, I also like to recognize Councilmember Lord, who's here in the audience, and we have some of the other council members that are watching online. So with that, again, tonight's our second open mic night. We'll get this rolling here in a second. I want to start off by just making sure that we talk about the town's mission. The mission statement that we have adopted is the town of Cutler Bay will work to make Cutler Bay an excellent place to live, work, and play. Cutler Bay's government will be creative, responsive, and respectful in providing innovative and cost-effective services to the community. This was such an important mission statement that we adopted it via Town Resolution 2012. Not only that, I also want to talk about sharing the vision. Cutler Bay will be recognized as one of the most desirable communities in South Florida to live, work, and play. The schools, homes, parks, and cultural facilities offer an enrichment environment for children, adults, senior citizens alike, and its local economy encourages outstanding companies to want to do business here. Just a little quick overview of Cutler Bay for folks first time watching. We're approximately 45,000 residents. We're truly a contract city. We have 37 full-time employees. There might be a little bit of delay here. Let's see, okay, incorporated 2005. So we have a 20-year anniversary coming up, a big milestone next year. We'll be 20 years old. As I mentioned, 45,000 residents. Average area is about 10 square miles. Average age, according to the census, 38 years old. And household size 3.35. I don't know what that 0.35 is, but that's what it says, 3.35. And then we also have approximately 19,000 single family units here in the town of Cutler Bay. I think it's important to also talk about just the leadership. We have obviously a town council and a manager form of government. We have there, as I mentioned, Mayor Mirabot, Vice Mayor Callahan, Councilmember BJ Duncan, Councilmember Lord, and Councilmember Ramirez. We do have 3 charter officers, including myself as town manager, Weiss Schroeder and Mitch Bierman, the Weiss Schroeder team law firm, and we also have Mauricio Milano, who's back there operating. And then we have the directors that report to myself. You see there are all the different directors there. And I think it's important for us to mention the mission statement as well as the core values. As you come into town hall and any of our public parks, you'll see this, call it, little informational billboard, there. So we say, hey, I know this individual here. So we want to make sure that we're very transparent. It has their email address there as well. Organization chart, obviously it starts with the town of Cutler Bay residents, the mayor and town council. We have the 3 charter officials, town clerk, town manager, town attorney. Then we also have the clerk's department has a deputy clerk. And then we also have the rest of the department heads that report to me. And we have some of the items that are contracted out. So ways to communicate, something that it's important for us to ways to communicate with the town residents. We have 11 town council meetings per year. That is the minimum as per our town charter. Sometimes we'll have more than that. That is minimum 11 times per year, usually the 3rd Wednesday of the month, 6 o'clock in this very own council chamber. We also have it where folks come in, and we also have it now that we live streaming like we're doing this open mic night right now. We also have something that's unique. We have 5 budget workshops and hearings per year. What does that mean? We have 3 budget workshops a year. It's not required by state law, but it's something that I decided to do with the town council and the public to get that engagement with the public regarding our budget. And then we have 2 budget hearings that are state mandated, and we'll talk about that later on. As I mentioned, we have our open mic nights with the town manager. We have one in April 24th, and tonight we're having the second one. more importantly, I think it's something that we know that we take great pride in. We have 17 yearly signature events. We call them special events, right? Where residents come up to myself, department heads, and town council members and mayor, and just just talk to us and let us know what's going on. What are some things that are on their mind? It gives them, a lot of folks, an informal atmosphere. Sometimes people get intimidated about coming to town hall. Folks, this is our stage. We're used to this here, but we want to make sure that we get everybody in a comfort level. We also have, you could also email us and obviously call us. And then we also have the direct messages through our social media campaigns. And we also have our monthly e-newsletters that are pushed out by our communications manager, that we have a lot of information there. And then lastly, we have our service request website. Anytime, 24 hours a day, somebody can come in and submit a service request through our website, and it goes to the right individuals and it gets directed to those departments. So tonight's topics. What's hot? We're going to talk about what's hot. Town capital improvement projects, Transit roadway improvement project, Caribbean Boulevard Complete Streets project, ARPA project, American Rescue Plan. We also have our Legacy Park Municipal Complex, South Place City Center, town's property acquisitions, wetland restoration projects. And what we'll do is, in between all these different topics, you'll see a slide if there's any questions. So that gives me an opportunity to drink some water, take a breath, but also have residents online and the folks that are here in the audience just provide me questions on those topics. And again, at the end, we'll have questions as well. I just don't want to get so deep into the presentation. You forgot the question when we started like 10 slides ago. And then obviously we're going to end it up with the fiscal year 24-25 budget workshop and hearings that we're right now in the middle of discussion topics. And then we'll have questions at the end. So hot topics. We know we're going to talk about, we're going to drill down to each one. La Quinta, the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, Southwest 87th Avenue Bridge. We have Blue Herring Park closure, Southwest 97th Avenue detour for the South Florida Water Management District Cutler Bay Flowway. So with that, as you know, the Homeless Trust, we've been working with Commissioner Cohen-Higgins and the Homeless Trust. And we had a council workshop here that many of you attended back in 2023. There was a Board of County Commission that was discussed this item in great detail, both in the May and June agenda. I could tell you the latest is that right now we're waiting for the agenda to get published. And if the agenda gets published with this item, it'll be heard on September the 4th. September the 4th. It will be on the Board of County Commissioners' radar. The County Commissioner Cohen-Higgins has fought very hard to look for alternative sites. We've been working closely with her, looking at different alternative sites within her district. We even provided alternatives within the town of Cutler Bay, but it's not one, it's actually literally one block outside of her district there. That if you watch this, we went to the Board of County Commission meeting and kind of played our case with the Board of County Commissioners. But I could tell you that we've been working hard with Commissioner Cohen-Higgins. We've actually had weekly calls with her, looking at different alternatives and continue the fight for that issue there. The Caribbean Boulevard Bridge. A lot of folks are calling us regarding what's going on with the Caribbean Boulevard Bridge. Well, really nothing right now. I mean, the county removed the contractor from the bridge. They literally terminated their contract, and now their county's Public Works Department is going through the procurement process right now to acquire another contractor there. The site has been restored as much as it can be restored. The roads, travel lanes are still open. We continue to monitor this project there. I know it has to go through the whole procurement recycle all over again. So that's something that we're going to be monitoring as well. The Southwest 87th Avenue Bridge, it's in the neighboring city in Palmetto Bay. That project continues to work. I mean, it's still under construction. I know that we dealt with a couple calls today that someone heard from somewhere, someplace, that the project stopped. Well, immediately I contacted the county staff that we know, and the contractor's not on site because there's what's called utility conflicts. The work continues. They're trying to figure out how to deal with those utility conflicts. But I think the example I want to use there is how quick we kind of dealt with the rumors. We dealt with it within like 30 minutes of it and responded back to the resident. Blue Herring Park. That's something that we know that we have a Blue Heron Park closure. You'll see the fence with the tarp. I can tell you the latest is that our consultant has already completed the necessary drilling for the arsenic within the soil, and those samples are in the lab right now. They've been there for at least 2 weeks already. We're hoping to get those results back within the next 2 weeks, so that way we could go ahead and prepare our request through Miami County Derm to see how far, how deep, how wide, how long we will have to remove the contaminated dirt and bring in the new soil. So that's something that we're continually, you might not see any activity behind that temporary closure, but there's a lot of activity going on in the background. So rest assured, that's going to be one of our top priorities there. So with that, I'm going to take my first little break and to see if there's any questions regarding the topics that we just talked about. I mean, I'll first take the folks here in the audience. If there's any comments, questions regarding that, the mic's right here. It should be on. The little green light should be on. And then also we have our folks from online. So
No questions yet.
no question. Any here? Come on up. Huh? Yeah, well, that's how you can have the folks hear you at home too. So make sure it's on. There you go.
Awesome. I'm Bruce Ford, 18700 Southwest 84th Avenue. It's just a general question about the bridge on Caribbean. Have you inspected it for safety? Because that project's been for so long. What did they do? What did they remove? What's the status of the structure beneath it? Has that been discussed prior to this?
Got it. I mean, I know that and thank you for that. The project's goal was always for water conveyance. It was not that the structure was damaged or what have you. So the project, the bridge has been inspected several times. With that, I can tell you that the work that was going on out there was just really more the pilings getting ready for preparation for the new bridge. But I know that the bridge is actually, I remember back, well, maybe like 3 years ago, it's like, why are they doing the bridge? I mean, the bridge is in perfect condition. It is in perfect condition. You know, it was just more of a conveyance because if you look at that, it's like kind of like an hourglass, right? It was more of a drainage project than a bridge project. But I could rest assured that that bridge is safe. It's been inspected, and if not, the county would have already, closed it down. But thank you for that question because I know we had that question before. So thank you, and thank you for attending. All right. Any other questions online? No. Okay. Let's keep it rolling. Get back on the PowerPoint there. All right. So town capital improvement projects. What are we doing here in the town to improve our own backyard? So let's start with just some of the funding sources and roadway projects that we have. We call them complete streets. And I think a very important point here that I want to make is that we have non-ad valorem taxes, the taxes that you pay for on your property statements there. None of those funds are used for the roadway project. We've done an amazing job with our staff and our consultants and our grant consultant to fund these projects without your ad valorem tax dollars. So we have different funding sources. You'll hear me talk about all the time with Miami-Dade County Joint Participation Agreement. You hear me talk about in the council chambers here, JPA. A JPA is a joint participation agreement with Miami-Dade County. Essentially, it's a grant. The grant meaning that the county is providing us money to help improve their roadways within our town. We also have what's called Florida Department of Transportation, local agency project TAP projects, which is another form of a grant that we have as well. We also have, again, another form of acronym, Towns People's Transportation Plan. That's the half-penny gas tax that everybody uses, and we get based on our population. Recall our population is 45,000 residents. So in our situation, we receive approximately $2.8 million per year. 80% of that for roadway resurfacing, 20% of it is for transit services. And then we also have our town stormwater utility fund that we're going to talk about later, which is $90 per year, $7.50 per month. So one of the things that we're doing now is currently under design, which is Marlin Road, which call that a complete streets project. What's a complete streets project? Bus pull-out base, drainage, sidewalk connectivity, traffic circles. That's what we call in terms of complete streets project. We've done a great job here. We actually received 2 separate grants. One was a direct appropriation from the state of Florida. Thank you, then Alina Garcia, our state representative, as well as Senator Calatayud. That was 2 years ago. We received a appropriation for that. And then subsequently to that, we received another direct grant from FDOT. Bottom line, over $1 million worth of grants to fund what we call the design phase. Again, 100% grants for Marlin Road. It'll go from the transit, the bus rapid transit, all the way to Old Cutler Road. If you see that, how it kind of traverses that and Frangel Road are two of our busiest roads that are almost like a north-south. Frangel Road, obviously, you know, I know all the time folks would ask me, when's it going to start? Well, it started, right? We know that the detour's there. We know, thank you for the folks from Holy Rose who's been very patient and the business owners that are there. We have a street closure there, but we do have it open for local traffic and businesses there as well, because there are a couple of small shopping centers that are there. That project is underway, and we'll talk about that here shortly. And that was one that was a result of a joint participation agreement, JPA. You see there's over $8 million. We're also leveraging some of our ARPA money, our federal money, American Rescue Plan Act for 2.2. And then the rest is going to be that $6.5 million from that gas tax. Again, no ad valorem taxes there. We also have construction phase for Southwest 200th Street and 103rd Avenue, traffic circle. We just had a public engagement meeting last week regarding that. So I want to thank the residents that came out to that meeting as well. And then we also have the C100B canal there. I mean, if you live along the canal banks there, you know how important that project is. Literally, the earth is kind of sliding into the canal. Not our canal. It's a drainage canal for South Florida Water Management, but we were able to secure funding, again, in the amount of $750,000 from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDEP, and as well as $750,000 of our own funds to secure that canal bank that's owned by South Florida Water Management, but all those cul-de-sacs around there drain out to that canal there. And then we just completed our Whispering Pines Park improvement project there. We performed some drainage there. We put in a much needed turf pavers along the easement there. And it was great that we had it rolled out and done before the 4th of July parade. So that was a great event there. We also have something we're going to talk about as well. We call it the Caribbean Boulevard from 87th Avenue to 184. We call it the J. Obviously, you can see there because that's how we call it, referred to as the J. That's a complete streets project to complete the rest of the leg of Caribbean Boulevard project. 82nd Avenue, Old Cutler Glen neighborhood there. That's actually coming to an end. I mean, I know that the residents have been very patient with us. I think just meeting with our Public Works Department today, they meet on a weekly basis with the contractor. It is on schedule. There was some lapse of activity there, but again, we had to have our own utility conflicts as well. That was resolved. The contractors there on site, just drove it the other day with our Public Works Department. So you see a lot of activity there. And that's going to be able to be completed on schedule and on time. 8.5 acres there on Old Cutler Road and 184. That's another acquisition that we purchased that we'll talk about in a little bit. We have $250,000 that has been committed by Miami-Dade County towards the planning of it. But more importantly, we also received a grant from FDEP for $250,000 for the master planning and the removal of the invasives. If you've been out there, I tell people almost 99% of the trees that are out there are all invasive. And then we're matching $250,000. So that's going to be a project there. In fact, on September the 18th, we're going to have a council workshop at 5 o'clock to discuss the final phase of that project with the council. And then we also have the 53 acres Cutler Bay wetlands. Again, something that we are not our property, but we're investing in that property with the South Florida Water Management District. We applied for a grant, received it for another $700,000 grant from FDP, and we're matching $700,000. That is to do the restoration there for that 53 acres that's on the intersection of 97th Avenue and 232 Street and 224, between 232 and 224 Street. So, Frangel Road Improvement Project. We had our groundbreaking ceremony there. I mean, that's great. A lot of folks there, a lot of shovels, a lot of dirt. We just wanted to, check that box. But as soon as that was there, literally, I think the next day they started working on the project there. And part of the reason why we had this groundbreaking is to give credit to some of our stakeholders. As I mentioned, you have Miami-Dade County there, so you have the TPO director there. We also had the CITT executive chairman there as well. All of our partners who want to recognize the hard work of all of our partners there. And that day was very, very hot. But even then, after that, we actually had a meeting with Holy Rosary. We had all the teachers there before they kicked off the school, and we were there just kind of briefing them about the project, and then even talking about the plan. Detour is going to be done in phases. And it was myself and the Public Works Director there, and thank you to Principal Brown for coordinating that effort. We had over, as you see that from the photos, over 80 teachers there asking a lot of questions. A lot of them are residents of the town of Cutler Bay. And again, this project is from 184 all the way to Old Cutler Road. There's going to be a couple highlights there. We call it the traffic circle on Frangel and Cutler Ridge Drive. If you know, the intersection kind of like doesn't really line up there. It's been like that for years. So that's going to be completed there. And traffic circles will be built there, as well as we call it another bonus circle is on Frangel and Gulfstream. If you know Frangel and Gulfstream, on a good day, you can't even make a left turn there. So there's going to be a traffic circle there to help the mobility as well. So I think those are two big safety features that we're going to have there, besides the fact there's going to be bus pull-out bays, and lighting, drainage as well in those projects. Then we also have this project going to be done in phases. So right now, what everybody's experiencing is phase one between 184 and 186 there, right there. And that's the phase there. What we're doing is we close the road there, and we have it for local traffic only, obviously, but it's so much easier, so much faster, because we got a lot of calls in the beginning. So why can't you just do one lane at a time? Folks, that'll be almost double the time. So we want to give those opportunities where you can sit there and you see there. The hardest thing is going to be put the drainage in. I mean, you know, you're digging deep there. Just go by there, you'll see it. We're very confident with the contractor. The contractor is an award-winning contractor. He was our contractor when we did both Caribbean and Old Cutler Road, so they're very familiar with them. That was part of our selection process there. You'll see it here where we have different stages. So once we finish phase one, that road section will be open. Then we go to phase two, and et cetera, all the way down to Old Cutler Road. Again, for the folks that are in that phase one temporary street closure, I mean, that's going to be from August through November. The only good thing is that we know it's not part of the rainy time, but season. But you can just tell from last week, you know, we had so much rain. But the contractor continues to work there, and it should be finished by November 2024, and then we move on to the next phase. So any questions about these projects there? Yes, come on up.
My question is, can this be emailed to us?
Oh, this PowerPoint?
Yeah, just we can see, especially the residents on Franjo, like where the.
Oh, absolutely.
There, so that's great.
Absolutely, we'll email to you. In fact, the gentleman sitting right here to your left is Junior Vega, our stormwater utility manager. Just get his information. We'll send it over to you. Okay, great. Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. Wonderful. Hello.
All right, good evening. I came to this past week's reveal of the projects that are planned for the coming days, and the one on 200th Street, the roundabout. The residents seemed to be very concerned about the plans. And I actually was in that area the other day, and I understand what the resident was talking about. One of the solutions for one of the residents that has a big truck and an RV, she was like told to go on the against traffic to exit, but the meridian there is not going to allow her to do that. And her entire yard is fenced. So I don't know if you've gone out there and looked at the physical layout of the driveways and the homes, but I feel like the pattern is going to cause some complications, especially the meridians in the streets.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that, and thank you for attending our workshop the other day. I know we have our stormwater utility manager here, Junior Vega, as well. We have our design team as well, but I think that's something that right now it's in the construction phase. But the way that this traffic circle is designed, it's designed for any type of truck, fire truck to go around and do the roundabout radius there. So right now you don't see it completed yet, but that'll be the end result. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ricardo Gomez. And just want to compliment what my wife, he was speaking about it. I think on the last open mic, it was a reference by Mr. Casales, the manager, that he needs to check a couple points for up a roundabout. And this was in reference of Caribbean Boulevard, right after my house, that we have a car speeding, doing donuts constantly. It was a meeting on a site with Public Works. They told me they don't have the money for the roundabout. I informed you the meeting the day before or the week before that you are looking to see if it is possible that roundabout on that intersection. The neighbors are in only agreement. On this case that my wife just spoke, the neighbors never was checked. So I don't know if it's double standards or if it is any different issue, that it was a reference that is roundabouts, they can be put it in without the neighbor, the residents have an opinion, or if it is just a mistake. So I like you to search on that situation. Also, on 87 with the Caribbean, we have lights, but nobody respect the lights. We spoke also on a meeting that we are thinking about doing a roundabout on that area to avoid the traffic and the speed. And this weekend, I have neighbors speaking with me that they need to replace the trash can every 2 months. Because exactly that situation, the cars don't stop, they crash the trash cans, and I think we need to think to put the police on that intersections, put speed lights, bombs. I don't think it is visible. I know the 87 belongs to the Miami-Dade County. He's not Cutler Bay, but I think we have something to say about the situation. And also, I want to thank you, Smash, because we asked to address the situation for ADA compliance in one of the sidewalks, and we followed through that. So I just want you to look on this situation for us. I want to appreciate also the public work that end up to revise the plans for the sidewalks after we have the 2 meetings. And I'm looking forward to look on that drawings for the neighbors to agree or have some more issues for us to be able to address on this point. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Gomes. Thank you for attending our workshops and our first mic and our second open mic. So there, folks at home who see there's actually people here in the audience. So let me go back to a couple steps. So the way we do things in Cutler Bay, we have a master plan for everything. Okay, so we have a master plan. We have a traffic calming master plan that was done years ago, that in this very same room, we had public involvement meetings. So when we sit there and say we're going to put in a traffic circle intersection X, it's something we've already had meetings and it has been studied by the engineers to make sure it warrants that traffic circle. So the traffic circle on 103rd, 200th Avenue, I know I've received the same email from the resident. Our public works director responded back to our traffic calming master plan that's actually posted on our website with the public involvement meetings. And that way we understand, we just don't put a traffic circle like anywhere. We just want to make sure we study the area. So there's a criteria for that. So that's number one. For the 200, to the point that if I go back to my map, that was actually a grant that we received from FDOT in the amount of, quote me if I'm wrong, $380,000 that had to be reviewed by FDOT selection committee. Their engineers are justifying the reason why a traffic circle was there in order for DOT to justify giving us $380,000. So that traffic circle there on 103rd and 200th Street has been studied. It's part of our traffic calming master plan. Thank you for mentioning the fact that you came to our open mic night, that we heard you along I call it the Caribbean Boulevard J Street there. We met the next day, yourself and some of the neighbors there. We heard you, we looked at our plans. We kind of like meandered the sidewalk a little bit, to hear you for that. And at the same time, we looked at the traffic circle that we were talking about along that Caribbean Boulevard, and we went back to the master plan. And it wasn't justified there for the traffic flow. So that's why that traffic circle is not going to be there. We just don't want to get to the point that we're just putting in a traffic circle just because neighbors say traffic circle, versus the same way we talked about putting in speed humps or speed tables that we call. There's a whole methodology for that, and we have a traffic calming master plan for that. But again, will we listen? Absolutely. Will it be justified? We'll justify it based on the traffic calming master plan that we did. So we want to make sure that systematically, we have continued following that whole process, and we're very transparent. It's on our website there, just like when we have a lot of folks asking about, hey, we just, in fact, first time in our town, 19-year history, almost 19 and a half years history, we put in 2 speed tables. People call them humps, bumps, we call them speed tables, along Lanier Drive, and as well as Anchor Drive, Anchor Road. Those 2 neighborhoods went through the whole process of what we adopted as the town council of the Miami-Dade County process, meaning there had to be an election of all the neighbors and the residents that are along that corridor, the homeowners, and the folks that have the speed hump in front of their house. If it's 4 property owners, all 4 had to say, yes, they want that there. And so far, we've had some really great positive feedback. The contractor finished the project on time, on schedule, within the budget. And that was just recently approved by the town council, and we've got some great, feedback there. And again, in terms of the traffic circle on 201 3rd Avenue, as part of our study there, and believe me, if I could use that money for something else instead of that traffic circle, that's great. But we went through a competitive process justifying that traffic circle and the methodology, how we led to that traffic circle. But again, there's a lot of information back and forth that I think that it's important for us to understand how critical it is for us to stay behind our master plans, the methodology for it. But, thank you for the comments, and certainly I'm always available, like, as you know, offline, or want to say offline, here or anytime in the office, we can listen to the neighbors. So any questions on?
Yeah, we have a question about the 87th Avenue Bridge.
Okay.
Says Palmetto Bay is requesting the Inspector General to look into the potential misconduct. Palmetto mentions Cutler Bay in the letter, saying there's a lack of transparency and communications with affected municipalities, which is Palmetto Bay and Cutler Bay. Does Cutler Bay have an issue with the 87th Avenue Bridge and transparency?
Look, I think the folks have been following us for several years. We actually hosted in this very same room the 87th Avenue Bridge Committee, that was made up of residents from both Cutler Bay, Palmetto Bay. And our position was there last time, and it is today, that it's all about connectivity. It's all about connectivity for us. I think we respect, again, we just talked about the process, the process, how we got to this point here. And it's very unfortunate, but I think that we still have a great relationship with our friends and colleagues of Palmetto Bay. And I think that, again, the data justifies it, and we sit there behind the data. And, again, as we hear rumors, we try to dispel them as fast as we can. And it's all about connectivity at that point.
No more questions.
Okay, well, great. Some great questions, folks. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's go on to continue. Okay, well, we got ahead of ourselves here, but Complete Streets Project, Caribbean Boulevard. So as I mentioned before, it's from 87th Avenue to 184, which we had some comments about it. Again, part of our bike pedestrian plan, part of our Complete Streets Master Plan, part of our transportation master plan, that we've identified this project here. In fact, we received over $1 million worth of grants from FDOT for this project. Mentioned before, the project limits, as you can see there, I call it the reverse J. Talking about it briefly, what we talked about in terms of elements of it, the curb and gutter, sidewalks, pedestrian connectivity, obviously the resurfacing of it, and ADA compliant sidewalks and crosswalks. Now we're going to move into, you heard me mention before, ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act. The town received, based on our population, $21 million. $10 million of it was for what we call general services. $11 million we call it for water quality improvement projects.
So could you pass again the slide that you did? I think you are referenced to the J. Could you move back one slide?
Okay, so the question from the members of the audience.
I know not to see the slide. It was confusing.
Okay, I think the question from the audience is going back to the slide for the J.
No, the other one.
Street
The street view.
All right, hold on, guys. Let's see. Let's get to this. Let's get to the clicker
Right, that's
here.
That's what.
Well, this is just a typical. What I'm trying to do there was the typical elements, right? That I'm trying to highlight that. It's not like, say, I don't know if it is Caribbean Boulevard or not. I don't know if it is, but I just want to highlight some of the elements there that we superimpose. The curb and gutter, the sidewalk connectivity, the pedestrian protection based on the curb and gutter, and the ADA compliant sidewalks. Those are kind of some of the elements that make up the complete streets. That's what I was trying to say there. But I mean, again, I wish I don't know if that's Caribbean Boulevard or not. Maybe you're could help me with that. So again, that's what I was trying to.
Public Works is checking ahead.
Okay, so then, okay, so This is not Caribbean Boulevard. These are the elements of complete streets. This could be Marlin Road, for example, folks. That's what I'm trying to prove the point here, okay? So this is what that is. That's what part of the elements of complete streets. Okay, $21 million. We talked about the $10 million for general services, the $11 million for water quality improvements. What we do here is that anytime that we spend money from this fund, we take it to the council for a resolution. So far, out of the $10 million, you see it there. Each item has been detailed of what we spent the money on. And so far, we spent $2.2 million, almost $2.3 million worth of general services allocation there. If you follow us in our council meeting and our budget workshops, I mentioned during our budget workshop, the first visioning as well as the second budget workshop, that the remainder balance is we're going to reserve some money for our computer software program. We're complete overhaul of our computer software program there to make it more accessible to residents. And then also the remaining funds will go towards our Legacy Park pool aquatic facility there as well. That was not part of the bond. Water quality improvement projects, as I mentioned, there's the $11 million of it. You'll see here right now, we've got the Bel Air sub-basin. That's the neighborhood just north of Caribbean Boulevard, where Cutler Ridge Elementary is there. We also have on right off of 87th Avenue and just west of Caribbean Boulevard, again, it's part of the same Bel Air sub-basin. That's what they describe it as a stormwater drainage basin. This right here is 82nd Avenue. As you know, we're using some of the funds there in the Negland neighborhood. And same as well. This is all part of the one sub-basin. So when we call it Bel Air sub-basin, those are the neighborhoods that are being impacted there with drainage projects. And then we have the Cutler Ridge Pines project there. That's just right behind our Frangio Park. There is currently under construction. Cutler Ridge Drive there. That's currently under construction. And then we have the Jade Twin Villas, which is a small neighborhood right across from Encompass Health there. That's getting ready to kick off. And then we also have our Lakes by the Bay sub-basin that is just west of our Blue Herring Park there. And that community there is going to have drainage improvement projects. And then we also have the Saga Bay community. That's a larger project as well that you can see there. So all the different impacted neighborhoods. I think this kind of shows you graphically, if you live in this community or adjacent to them, yes, you're going to expect some detours, but you're going to also expect that the town is investing its federal grant dollars into improving the water quality as well. So again, funding sources. We talked about American Rescue Plan Act. We have the FDOT grant that we spoke about. We also have Miami-Dade Joint Participation Agreement. And we also have the town's People's Transportation Plan, the half-penny gas tax. And finally, we have our Stormwater Utility Fund. So again, I always just want to highlight the fact there that none of the ad valorem taxes are being used towards these projects. Not a lot of cities could say that, but we're very proud of saying that we're doing it without ad valorem taxes. So questions about these projects?
No question.
Questions? No. All right. Any questions regarding that? No. Want to make sure I answered the Caribbean Boulevard question there with complete streets. Are you good? Okay. Any other questions? Yep, come on up. Yep. Come on up so people can hear you. I know, so that way people can hear you. Don't worry. Don't worry. We accept walk-ins. We accept walk-ins.
Quick question on what's going on. You say you've done studies and everything, and some of these things, the master plan has been a few years ago. What have you, and I'm sorry, I'm maybe not up to stats with what's going on. What have you done to keep up with the ever-changing landscape since? Because what was there 4 years ago is not here now. And what's going to happen in 2 years is going to be different than what we have now. So what patterns and what, I guess, elements do you look at to make sure that these traffic circles, these updates and these upgrades and the changes are being built within the, the timeline? Because I do see that, like you said, the master plan, but I mean, I was in the original master plan when I was a teenager here, up when the shopping center in Cutler Bay. I'm one of the first little people, teenagers, to do the master plan of the original Cutler Bay. So, and it's changed since then. And I was listening to about the circles that you're saying that it may not conform to what is necessary now and meets the scope, but also have you looked in the ones that are existing that you're gonna put, does it still apply to what was necessary like a few years ago with the master plan? Does it still work for what it is? Because I'm driving through it every day. And I'm telling you, I got here at 6:20, 6:25, taking Old Cutler from, Coral Gables, and it takes me an hour and 20 minutes with your updates. So what are you guys doing for that? Because no matter where I turn and being here for 40-something years, the traffic has been worse in the years come because of the amount of people. So what have you looked? Does it expire? Okay.
Great, and you know what? Great question. I could only account for, as again, I go back to we're only 19 and a half years old, right? 19 years old. And I could tell you, we all agree, everybody raise their hand, right? We all agree that traffic's gotten worse. Right? More cars, more what have you, right? I can guarantee you, I do the same traffic count today, it's gonna be worse, right? You mentioned, I'll go back to the most recent one, Old Cutler Road. Old Cutler Road's a county road. The traffic circles that you see north of us is part of a study that was done by Miami-Dade County to continue to move traffic, right? To continue to move traffic versus stopping in different intersections for how long, right? For the cycle of lights to go through, right? We talk about the traffic circle, but at the same time, we hear that from the drivers, right? I'm gonna stick for a second for traffic circles. The only traffic circle we've done on Old Cutler Road was the one on Old Cutler and 87th Avenue there, okay? That I get calls all the time from pedestrians saying, whose idea was to put a traffic circle there? Because we used to cross the street. Why? You hit a button. The button says, pedestrian crossing. What's that mean? Guy, it's Dade County. How long is it gonna take for you to sit there before you lose your mind, right? Waiting for 2 minutes with nothing happening while somebody crosses the street, right? So what does a traffic circle do? It moves, right? In my world as town manager, that's great. Next phone call from the pedestrian, you made it worse. So it has to be give and take. We try to make it as pedestrian friendly as we can. We try to make sure that folks see the pedestrians there, right? But then we see like the traffic circle on 87th Avenue, I'm gonna go back there for a second, 87th and Old Cutler Road. People are trying to figure out how to way to navigate it, right? Folks, we did a similar traffic circle on Lakes by the Bay. I know all the homeowner associations there. I know the community there, right? And they say, hey, thank you. You just made it better for me. Why? Traffic sped up there. It's like, hey, let's go out there and do like a little Indy car, right? So you have one that's really slow, you have one that's really fast, but I can tell you that those all receive study. Going back to 200th Avenue there, that was something that was done, a traffic study for traffic calming. It was an overall traffic calming for the folks that live along that area there. We know them by first name basis. Our police department knows them. Our public works department knows them. It's all about connectivity, slowing down that traffic there, right? Slowing down the traffic. And then when you turn on after 200 and 103rd, then you go on Lanier. And boy, Lanier, folks that live there, we know them on first name basis. That's 100% cut through. It's 100% cut through, right? Not anymore. Some folks are going to be leaving the bottom of the cars there on the speed table there because we know we've already seen it already, the cut through street there. But again, that's part of our traffic calming master plan we did that we studied over. It was over 100 intersection street road sections. And I could sit there and say, if we do the same study today, the counts are going to be even higher because there's more folks that are coming through doing the cut through. Perfect reason for, we go back to the 87th Avenue Bridge, right? It's all about the connectivity. So the folks that are now going to be at 87th Avenue Bridge at Palmetto Bay, it's more connectivity. Yes, we know it stops towards the end there, but you relieve some of those different side streets, right? So it's all about, I call it like, if you see me before in this type of meeting, let's call it, traffic's like a water balloon. I squeeze it, it's going to go somewhere else. I'm squeezing it, it's going somewhere else. The poor folks on Ned Glen neighborhood, they had the perfect storm. And we said it because I've been in front of their homeowner associations there. They had the 82nd Avenue roadway drainage part that we're doing. And they had Old Cutler 184 traffic circle. Detours, all to one street. It's the perfect storm, and at that point it's like, well, I can't open up 82nd Avenue because there's like literally 8-foot hole there, right? The county's closing off 184th Street and Old Cutler Road, and they're pushing folks, into that neighborhood. So it was like, to me, the perfect storm. So going back to your question, the report will say that if it was justified there based on the counts, a different type of master plan. We did a master plan for stormwater master plan. Water didn't go anywhere. We know that neighborhood floods there. All those projects you saw me outlined there was from our stormwater master plan. We know it's not going anywhere. And I think a lot of it is what we're doing with the stormwater is actually treating the water before it goes to the ground level, right? There's not say a pipe that connects to a lake or the bay. That's called a direct outfall, right? What we're doing is treating the water before it starts percolating down. That's why you see what we do there with exfiltration trenches and what have you. So that master plan, based on just the number of development, right? The sea level rise as well that we account for in our master plan. It's just gonna be worse. We just want to sit there and say, in fact, a lot of it we did from the last hurricane. I think it was Ian, I think, engineer. Remember that with the project behind Franjo Park? Alex, Tropical Storm Alex, right? That our friends from Saga Bay experienced 26 inches. If you recall that, both myself, the mayor are there with all the news media there pumping out water from the lake, right? 26 inches there, right? So that's why you see a lot of projects going on there in Saga Bay. And all these collectively help us save money on our what's called the FEMA flood insurance program, community rating system, CRS class 4 that we have there. And all these activities, end up having our residents get a 35% discount on our flood insurance. But going back to, yes, we stand behind our master plans with that, particularly the pedestrian master plan. Sidewalks needed here. Why? Because of missing connectivity. The bicycle pedestrian, it's missing because of connectivity. So we're trying to do that. And yes, those master plans, that is our go-to source. Why? It's not easy to get these types of grants. We have to justify to another agency, just like be a room full of people here, be a room full of other cities there dealing with FDOT or the county or the federal government. This is the reason why my project is more important than Cutler Base. And we sit there behind our master plans. We have the master plan, public engagement meeting, and we have this. So I think hopefully that answers some of your questions there. So any questions from?
Real quick follow-up on that. How often are they updated?
The master plans? I'll give you a good example. The stormwater master plan was just updated using our ARPA funds. We did our ARPA funds. We just updated the stormwater master plan. Didn't change. We just enhanced it. What we did was it was almost like a self-report card. We updated the master plan by saying, okay, we completed all these. What's next? What other sub-basin do we move into? The traffic calming master plan, think about it, was done several years ago. We just implemented the 2 traffic tables that was there. So that's how long it takes to catch up with it, right? Because there is an election process to go through with the residents. And we just completed those 2. That's our first 2 that we've done throughout the entire town. And there was like 97 intersections that were studied. So we try to update them as much as we can, but we know nothing's changed, for example. The stormwater master plan we actually updated. Why? Because we started looking at it. Wait a minute. Grant, completed, design phase. Wait, what's next? We had to study more sub-basins as well. So that's why. So to me, updating the stormwater master plan means that we checked all the boxes before that we're done with the old one. Completed. So.
We have a question. The Bel Air Eureka Drive states Cutler County Groves and South Grove water quality improvement projects. Can you please give us more information about this project? In the flyer we got, that gave me info about it. Some MPAs had streets in yellow and some streets in blue-green, but not explanation about the colors. Can you give us more details?
Okay, try to repeat that question again, because I missed the first part. You got a hoarse voice, or I missed?
Yeah, the Bel Air Eureka Drive states Cutler County Groves and South Grove water quality improvement projects.
The Bel Air, okay.
Yeah, can you give more information? The flyer says some streets in yellow and blue or green, but there was no explanation on what the colors represent.
Okay, let's see. All right, let's do this then. We'll do this live, all right? Let's go put back to PowerPoint. Let me click backwards here. Our previous chapter. Let me see if I get to that screen. All right, great question. Let's see here. Give me a second, folks. Let me just click. Oh, you're clicking it? Are you clicking it?
Did we get that?
All right, let me see if I can do it now. All right, let me just get back to it for a second. This is a good question here. Okay, so the Bel Air sub basin, right? That was the question?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we get to just highlight the Bel Air. Okay, so this is the Bel Air sub basin project that we have. The areas that are indicated in the blue there will be receiving stormwater drainage improvement projects there. What's that mean? Exfiltration trenches that we're going to be installing. Along with the installation of that, we're going to be repairing any broken sidewalks. ADA compliant sidewalks will be installed, and at the end there will be a final layer of asphalt and rotary striper. So specifically, whichever neighborhood that the resident lives in, they could certainly contact our Public Works Department, ask for either Alfredo Quintero, Public Works Director, or Janir Vega, who's here in the audience today. And if they have specific, concerns or address in front of house, we take great pride in doing that. Again, I mention them by names because that's what these folks do. They'll both Alfredo and Janir, they'll go out there, meet with the resident, and walk the project with the resident so they can understand what the improvements are within their neighborhood. So again, these are all water quality improvement projects that are being funded through the ARPA grant. So hopefully I answered that question.
No more questions.
Okay, great. Let's go on to the next chapter. That was kind of interesting going back.
I have a question. I see all these projects to come in reality.
Can you come to the mic? 'Cause I can hear you, but the folks at home can't.
I see these projects all coming to reality. But I live in Saga Bay since 2004. I lived there for 10 years. I got major hurricanes, Ivan, one of the examples. And the majority of the homes are 1 foot above the sea level. We are talking about saving 30%, 35% on insurance, but nobody's talking about how much it costs to the homeowners to comply to be our recent level for FEMA 3. Nobody's talking about that. And it's very expensive. We've been having these conversations internal, and we already proposed, and then Vice Mayor brought the idea because we step in, and he brought the idea to reduce for 1 year. I hear the Public Works on a meeting speaks about 1 year, controlling for 5 years. What I know is Miami-Dade County, he has the ordinance for 6 months for 49%. It does not affect our level that we are current for FEMA. And also FEMA only require one-time event. It doesn't require the 6 months. So Miami-Dade County is already above the requirements that FEMA required for us homeowners to repair our homes to comply with FEMA. And the town has 44% that they should move for 49 for 6 months, like is Miami-Dade County, because that's what is the closest we have to Rizal County, and not going to affect absolutely nothing regards our qualification on FEMA. The second thing is, right now where I see all these projects, I love the projects, I support the projects, it's not the issue. But Saga Bay, I don't live there anymore. But the Saga Bay should be a priority for this town. It's a sinkhole there, and everybody knows that. Is one of the earth is very low, and it floods constantly. If the town don't have the resources to clean it up, all these drains, the house is going to continue to have the same problem over and over that they have for 20 years. This is one of the issues that I think the town should look into this situation. I know you guys want to improve with FDOT's fundings, this and that, but in reality, he should work on Saga Bay himself because he's a big issue in Saga Bay. And you guys passed this situation 2 years or 3 years ago that they flood in Saga Bay. And all the areas around got stuck with water because the town was focusing saving Saga Bay. I think we should save Saga Bay first and then take care of the rest of the projects. Or otherwise, you need to take care of all the projects at the same time. Because I know you guys don't have the funds, you need to work on the funds. We understand that. We are willing to help you, the town, and support the town. But these residents that are living in Saga Bay, they're gonna suffer. Because much you want to say there is transparency regards saving money on insurance. The other side, nobody's saying how much it costs the homeowners to comply to be part of this 30%. And it's a lot of money. We have older residents, they don't have the money to redo their homes. And this is a big issue for our town. Thank you.
And thank you for that question. Let me start off by saying the reason why incorporated is to have this type of conversation. Saga Bay after Hurricane Andrew, we'll start the history lesson. Saga Bay after Hurricane Andrew, remember, we were born in 2005, folks. Anything pre-2005 was Miami-Dade County. After Hurricane Andrew, you lived in Saga Bay, and I can tell you which are the houses in Saga Bay that have the steps going up and which are the ones that don't have steps going down, right? The ones that don't have the steps going down, the up should never been rebuilt. Number one. Number two, our highest area for repetitive loss is Saga Bay. Since we've been here in the town and I was your public works director, original public works director, to now as your town manager, we have dumped several millions of dollars in Saga Bay for that, to the point that we used the negative of the 26 inches that we received with that hurricane to get another direct appropriation from the federal government through Congressman Salazar's office of $1 million to put in a overflow pipe from the Saga Bay Lake that is owned privately to hydrate the wetlands on the side. What's that mean? The escape route for all the water. Saga Bay, some of those homes, many of those homes should not have been rebuilt ever after Hurricane Andrew. We can only account for anything past 2005. We understand that, right? Dead giveaway, drive around, step, no step. Oh yeah, Ralph was right. Fact find me there for that, right? Number one. Number two, we're focusing on Saga Bay because of repetitive loss, but folks, I know the residents that live on Cutler Ridge Drive, that same 26 inches with the rain, when I drove around with the council members and the mayor after that storm, the news was focusing on Saga Bay. It was 4 to 5 feet on Cutler Ridge Road, Cutler Ridge Drive, right behind Franjo Park. That's the one that I said, you know what, Mother Nature told me what the master plan should say there. That was never on our master plan. That was Mother Nature that did that, for us, and we immediately jumped on it and we focused on this. So for us to say that we haven't focused on Saga Bay, I think all of our efforts, our first grant we received was for Saga Bay, to the point that when the repetitive loss properties, when we incorporated Miami-Dade County, brought us a file, say, hey, here you go, it's your issue now. I'm like, thank you, but we're dealing with it, and that's why you see a lot of those projects there within Saga Bay. The other fact that you mentioned regarding our ordinance, we have a very strict ordinance, and as you recall, the Vice Mayor Callahan mentioned that wanted to look at different ways to, I don't want to say relax the ordinance, take another look at it, right? For example, right now we have the 44% rule, right? If we go from 44%, if you improve your house more than 44%, you must elevate it. Folks don't want to hear that. You ask me, how do you fix that? That's how you fix that. But you can't, right? You put in a new roof, you put in a new solar panel, you redo a bathroom, you're done. You're done there. So what we're trying to do is look at it where we want realistic, right? We know folks want to live here, we want to update their homes, right? Not just in Saga Bay, but we have some communities off of Tiffany that only have a 3-1 that they want to update to, who can survive with a 3-1, one restroom in the home. So we know that the residents that want to upgrade, not demolish and go 2 stories, that's happening as well. We understand that, that's happening as well, but not a lot of people can do that, right? But some folks say, man, I got 2 teenagers, I got 1 restroom and a 3-bedroom. I don't want to sell, but I'm going to have to because I need to upsize, right? And we want people to remember original statement, live, work, and play here. All right, we got to live, we got to play. Now we're focused on the work, right? We're going to get the work done here pretty soon. But we're trying to look at different ways where I don't want to have people think that we're relaxing the ordinance. We're going from 44 to 49%, but then instead of keeping it track for 5 years, we keep it track for 1 year. Thank you for mentioning the county 6 months. You know what? I'm not following the county. The county uses us as an example for CRS class 3. We were just at an event there. The first thing the Mayor Cobb mentioned, look what Cutler Bay is doing, class 3. I'm not following them. We want to make sure what fits right for the town. So if it's something that we have to look at our code from 44 to 49%, that's great. If we look at keeping track for 5 years, only for 1 year, that's a big shift right there. We want folks to put in the solar panels, update the roof, add that addition, for that. We have a very strict impervious ordinance for driveways as well, right? We don't allow concrete to concrete. The ones you see out there probably done without a permit, or it was done before our code was done. So we're constantly looking at shifting our ordinance to make sure it makes sense without losing that 35%. Because guarantee you, if we start relaxing that, and all of a sudden I'm here saying, you know what, we're no longer class 3, we're now a class 4, and now it's going to cost you more money, right? That's a different conversation to have. So I think that. Thank you for that, your continued involvement. As I mentioned, the Vice Mayor is going to be bringing up an ordinance. It's going to go up to 2 public hearings that the residents could come and talk about. And we want that feedback. We want that engagement. But you know what? That's why we incorporate it. So with that, any questions, though?
No more questions.
Okay, great. Next chapter here. Oh, yep, we talked about that. Questions? Okay, so now let's move on to Legacy Park. Legacy Park is located on Old Cutler Road. We continue to meet with our planning team, the design team. It's literally right next to the new Publix on Old Cutler Road. It's 16 acres. You can see their presentations. We have internal meetings. I can tell you that since our last meeting, we've had completed the layout of all the buildings and office assignments and the flows for the buildings. We meet every Monday. Again, this is the master plan, going back to the master plan. We actually adopted this master plan with the council. We want to make sure that everybody knows what all the locations are going to be, where all the buildings are going to be. Again, as I mentioned, it's 16 acres, 4 acres of it will be for I call them buildings, right? You got town hall, police department, community center, parking garage, aquatic center, and then 12 acres will be open space criteria. So briefly, we'll go over some of these items. So right here, we have circled our community center. It's going to be a multi-purpose community center, a lot of multi-purpose rooms there. A lot of different type of surfaces that we could use for different type of events and meetings. We have our aquatic center that we have there, our pool that I mentioned. We're going to be using some of our ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act funds there. We have our town hall. It's going to be a 2-story town hall with a council chamber and offices. And what we've done internally is the first floor is going to be, I call it the permit trail, right? I mean, you come into town hall, you want to come into the building department, community development, community zoning department, as well as public works. That's the permit trail. The second floor will be administrative services, myself, the town clerk, accounts payable, HR, and then we have our police department there. It's a 2-story police department, and we designed it so that way it's a self-sustaining police department as well as an EOC. We have also a 3-story, 300-car parking garage that we have there as well. And then we also have our stage band shell that we have there as well. So one of the things that we've done is if you've driven by there, we put this out there for the community to see all the different milestones that we have reached there. And our next milestone will be the completion of design. Right now, we're finishing up the design theme with our design team. And in fact, hopefully by the October 16th council meeting, right before that, maybe we'll have a workshop with the council, kind of start finalizing the outdoor look of it, And again, that's a preview for my bosses there, so it's coming soon, right? And then again, this is just, the typical, layout of what we want to do. We want to make sure that it's an iconic venue that it's very inviting and we want to make sure that all our residents are proud. I mean, we want to have, you know, you calling your friends and family, say, hey, you know, come over, let's come over here. Let's go see a Friday night concert. Let's go, you know, let's go to this event that we have, et cetera. So we want it to be a nice, inviting venue. Okay. South Place City Center, as you've heard me talk about it before, the Southland Mall redevelopment. It's going to be a $1.5 billion regional impact. It's going to create over 3,000 jobs during the construction, and then also some permanent jobs as well. What you see, there's actual renderings of the development there. What we do know is that obviously Sears has been knocked down. The old Kmart, where the Kmart and right now the Ross is at right now, the old DSW shopping center spot there is getting redeveloped. It's getting built out, and then Ross will be located to where the old DSW was. Once Ross is relocated to where the old DSW is, then the Kmart and Ross building will be then demolished, and then that'll be the first phase of the mall going up. You got, I call it the bookends, right? You got the bookends where the Kmart was and where the Sears. One of the things that we've been working very closely, you've been following us along with open mics as well as our council meetings, is talking to Miami-Dade County and FDOT about a pedestrian bridge. Folks, there's going to be over 5,000 units there, over 60,000 square foot medical arts building, a grocer as well, and some more retail or restaurant sites there as well. So one of the things we want to do is obviously make sure that we maximize the bus rapid transit, the $300 million project along the busway there. We're fortunate enough to have 5 stops in Cutler Bay. The most logical spot for a potential pedestrian bridge is near the intersection of 112 Avenue, Alpata, and US 1 there that we have highlighted there. The bad thing is there's a huge transmission power lines there. It looked good on paper until you go out there. So, whoa, where do these lines come from? It's going to cost somewhere north of $12 million to relocate those lines. So one of the things that we're doing is now working with the Miami-Dade County Public Works, and I want to, thank Commissioner Cohen-Higgins because she was able to work with Miami-Dade County Public Works Department and Mayor Cava as a strong mayor to secure some funding to what we call a PD&E study for the pedestrian bridge. What's that mean? That means within the next year and a half, the county will review the location of pedestrian bridge, which will be right directly off of 112 and right across from the mall and over US 1. And the county will perform that study, master plan, and then look at for the funding alternatives there that we could have there, because we need to have something to have folks use that transit system there, because on a good day, good luck trying to traverse, US 1 there. Remember, as I told you before, imagine stopping the intersection of 112 and US 1 for like 2 minutes while somebody crosses that road. It's a 6-lane highway and some of it's diagonal, then when you go to the Target bus parking ride there. So that's something that we want to make sure that we work on and thinking forward already. So any questions so far on these projects?
Yeah, I've heard rumors about Flanagan's coming to Legacy Park. Are there other restaurants that are interested in that space?
Rumors about?
Flanagan's coming to Legacy Park.
Yeah. Well, I think I've said it a couple times, but if you probably heard it, I probably was the one that started, So, but I'm glad it's getting around, I know that all kidding aside, I think that there's going to be an art parcel there. There's going to be a lot of opportunities there for restaurants. Both myself and the mayor and individual council members, every time they go to a restaurant, I mean, it hasn't been like 1 month that goes by, I get an email or a text from a council member, hey, I just went to this great restaurant in the Gables in the Grove. They want to relocate to Cutler Bay. Great. And we'll follow those leads, and we're following these leads all over the place, right? And I think that build it and they'll come, right? I think once they start seeing town hall being built, you got the public shopping center there. There's going to be 2 art parcels on either end of Publix that are 4,000 square foot bank restaurants that are very hot right now. Very hot right now because there's a lot of restaurants that are looking at those 2 buildings there now. But I think there's been a lot of interest. I know that I've spoken to a lot of the different restaurant folks, and it's easier said than done, right? Hey, just come build a 4,000 square foot building and how much is your investment before you sold your first blank, right? So it's a lot easier said than done, but I think that there's a lot of momentum there because now we have folks that are looking at some of our demographics. I mean, it's all part of the chain effect, right? I mean, we have, if you know, right across the street from Cutler K, there's like a little cul-de-sac that's being built there. Some of the homes were starting off at $1.5 million. There was a sale last couple months ago for 1.8. 1.8. It was over $300,000 over asking. Like, I don't know how it happens, but it's happening, right? So that's part of what we start seeing some of the changes there, and then that data will drive the restaurants to come here. You know, I always tell people all the time, sure, we would love to have a high quality end restaurant, but are we going to go out there once a week and spend $150 on a meal, right? So we got to find out that price point there. So yes, the rumors of Flanagan's. Yes, if Flanagan's, if you're listening, please, call me. We sent a lot of information, emails regarding that. But I mean, again, you start off with that, and you never know what's going to happen there. But at least I know that as your town manager, I could sit there and say, here's what's coming versus, several years ago, here's a field of dreams. So right now we know that something's coming there. So that's very, very positive.
We have one more. Is there any initiative or incentive to encourage employment of Cutler Bay residents or contractors in the construction of South Place City Center project?
Yeah, in fact, shameless plug, in this very room, we had a great job fair that both Councilmember Lord and Ramirez attended, that we had all of our contracts. Remember we talked about that ARPA project, all those contracts, all the drainage projects that we have? We actually had all those contracts, the design team for Old Cutler, our town center was there as well. I think that once that construction starts getting ready to kick off with Southland Mall, I've actually spoken with the ownership of the mall. Right now, they're in the permitting phase right now for that first phase, which includes the Sears and the old Kmart site there. It's over 800 something units and so much, 100,000 square feet of commercial, that I actually spoken to them and told them that I would be more than happy to, on our behalf of the town, to host a job fair in the very same room, similar to what we just did with all of our contracts. And it actually was really well attended. And so absolutely, you have our commitment.
No more questions.
All right, questions from there? Yes, come on up.
Is the pedestrian bridge going across 112 or is it going across US 1?
Okay, the question was clarification, I guess. The bridge is going to go over 112 or US 1. The bridge will go over US 1 near the 112 intersection. In fact, it'll start just south of Applebee's and land like literally almost in front of the front door of the Peruvian restaurant. I wish it could have gone a little bit further south, but that's where you have those, I call it huge power lines. That would have been ideal because just south of the Peruvian restaurant, Miami-Dade County owns like a half acre. Would have been great landing right there. But now because of those power lines, we want the county to do the study, because the worst thing we want to do is sit there and say, okay, dear FPL, bear these power lines for, again, north of $12 million, right? Where maybe you kind of shift it a little bit over, and it might require the county to acquire some property there. So it will go over US 1 to feed directly to the BRT station that's literally right there. You don't have to even walk. We thought about maybe halfway down the street, halfway down the block where the intersection is, where you come out of the mall. But folks, it's South Florida. I get off the BRT and I'm going to walk a quarter mile. Nah. You want it right after you get off the BRT. So that was the ideal spot. So thank you for that clarifications. Okay, great. Next chapter. Okay, so town property acquisition, something that we're very proud of. As I mentioned before, we acquired the 8.5 acres on Old Cutler and 184. That's going to be a conservation park there. We're going to the master planning phase of it. We're going to talk about it a little bit. Again, this is some of the public involvement meetings we had. We had a lot of environmental cleanup efforts there. You see there. Yeah, that guy with that little hat is actually me. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Okay. Hey, got a picture of me there? And with our consultant there, but also we had a lot of great feedback there from residents. We actually went to the event, and then also on the bottom right-hand corner there, you can see our mayor, Congresswoman Salazar there. That was at our Wings Over the Bay event that we had there, getting some great feedback. So again, we want to make sure that we go into these different types of special events to get that feedback. If you watch our council meetings, we actually have in our calendar, we have on September 18th, right? A Wednesday before our council meeting from 5 to 6 o'clock, the town council will be discussing the draft plan that you have right here. And this is a culmination of meeting with a lot of residents that have been out there working that area there. Folks from representatives from Louisville, Cutler Bay, that I personally met with, as well as feedback received from the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, the restoration efforts project that we had, and also Wings Over the Bay. So this will be the fourth time that some of the council members actually seen this plan. And again, if you come watch us in person or via Zoom, the council is going to have this opportunity to provide collectively in the Sunshine Meeting their comments of what this plan is going to look like. This is the one, if you recall from my presentation, that we received $250,000 from FDEP, and we're matching $250,000. So it's a $500,000 project for what? The master plan, as well as start removing those invasive trees. And then once we adopt this plan, via master plan, similar to what we did with our 16 acres, we'll adopt it. And my plan is for on the October 16th council meeting to have a resolution before the town council to formally adopt the master plan, similar way we did our legacy park. Once we adopt the master plan, folks, then we start, as I mentioned before in the town council, we start to chase for the grants. And our project, this is just breaking news. In fact, some of my council members don't even know about this. So I just got informed by our grants coordinator, actually it was on Friday, that we submitted this project to FDEP as one of the projects for a federal restoration grant, a NOAA grant. And our great grants consultant, Lakeisha Morris, said that our project has been selected to move as the state's submission to NOAA. How's this come together, folks? We have our federal lobbyist, Jim Davenport, that provides us updates all the time, and he's literally chomping at the bits. Congresswoman Salazar was at our booth there, so they understand the importance of it. Both myself and the mayor, when we met with Senator Rick Scott, we talked about this project as well. So folks are like, just bring it to us. We'll figure out a pot of money. So this is going to be obviously done in phases, but I think the first thing is our priority is going to be is to secure the property with a fence, and then obviously do the walkway, and then start removing all the invasives. Obviously, the invasives first. So we want to make sure we have a master plan before we go out there and start removing trees. Because the worst thing we want is that people say, "Wait, what's going on there? It's going to be a 20-story building?" No, folks, it's all invasive trees. We want to make sure it's similar to what we did with Legacy Park. We have a coming soon billboard saying this was coming soon. So again, that's something that Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, Wings Over the Bay, the restoration project, and this will be the fourth time that folks have an opportunity to provide comments. We talked about the 16 acres Legacy Park project that we have as well. And then recently we had acquired the property 3.5 acres on the intersection of 87th Avenue and Old Cutler Road. That's something that, as you recall, Mayor Mirabal went on social media, the power of social media, and had an open message for the residents saying, listen, folks, there's going to be a developer who's going to build 109 units in commercial mixed use here. They could do it as of right. What would you like us to do? Overwhelmingly, I would say we said buy it, right? So my job is to figure out how to get the funding for it, right? So we were able to negotiate some great terms with our bank, as well as having a good fund balance reserve that we're going to talk about shortly for these type of opportunities for us. So within a period of I would say 4 years, this is the property that we acquired on 87th Avenue, Cutler, the intersection there. We'll talk about the roundabout there. So within the last 4 years, we were able to acquire over 28 acres on Old Cutler Road. 28 acres on Old Cutler Road. So we became the biggest property owner. A lot of questions that I receive all the time. Hey, what are you going to do with the 3.5 acres? I could tell you what it's not going to be, 109 units in mixed use, right? So right now we're going through the cleanup effort right now. If you've been out there, we removed a lot of the invasive trees. There's some soil remediation that we have to do. There was some lead that was found in the soil that we're getting ready to remediate. And then after that, you'll see us in our budget. We're actually budgeting for the low-lying wood fence around it, like similar to what we did with Whispering Pines, to kind of like mark our territory, mark our territory. And then we'll start going the next phase, which is a master plan phase. So it's just gonna be open space right there for now. So wetland restoration project, I know I touched upon it in the beginning. The 53 acres property, it's not the town's property, but we know we're gonna benefit from it because we have a big projects going on there from the Army Corps of Engineers and South Florida Water Management. Again, another acronym, CERP, C-E-R-P, Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Project, another acronym. There is a temporary road closure there. 97th Avenue between 224 and 232 will be closed till January of 2025. Why? The South Florida Water Management's contract is getting ready to put a canal underneath that roadway there. It's a flowway canal is going to go underneath 97th Avenue and underneath 87th Avenue to hydrate over the 500 acres. And we'll briefly go through that project right now. Again, this is part of our public involvement. We sent that out via email and our social medias. The Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetlands Cutler Bay Flowway. I call it the canal. A lot of words, right? This was from our last update in March 2022. I could tell you that I contacted our friends from South Florida Water Management. They're going to be here on October the 16th to provide the community an update at the town council. And more importantly, I want to make sure that that meeting obviously is going to be via Zoom. It's recorded, it's Facebook Live, et cetera. So we can go ahead and send that email out to a lot of the homeowner associations that are over there. Again, this is just the details of the project. It's going to be a pump station located at the canal to rehydrate all those 500 acres that you see there just east of Matter Academy and south of Matter Academy and north of Black Point there. We have the construction limits there and you'll see the flowway. So again, a lot of it you'll see, I received a lot of calls from some of the parents in Matter Academy. Hey, there's a lot of trees that are being removed just south of their campus. Those are all invasive trees. That's part of this project. It's all that's going to be cleared out right now. Not only all that removed, but look at all the illegal dumping that they found. That I don't know how many, several. I don't want to say hundreds of tires, but there, there's a lot of things that are in there. So that's all part of that project. Very exciting for us is that we were able to negotiate with South Florida Water Management, Army Corps to have a recreation element. What's that going to be? There's going to be like a deck, a bird observatory deck, not a tower, a deck there. There's going to be a pavilion. There's going to be bike racks. There's going to be a restroom facility there. There's going to be across the street, 97th Avenue, a nice pervious parking lot there. All this kind of comes together, folks, when you see us talking about our commitment to put in $750,000 of our money, $700,000 of our funds, plus the $700,000 from FDEP grant, $1.4 million investment. I call it to improve the stage that folks are going to be looking at, right? This project right now from the U.S. Department of Army Corps of Engineers, it's over a $30 million project in our own backyard. Unless you live behind there, you see that some of the vegetation being burnt, or if you're affected by a detour, you didn't even know this project going on. Folks, this is the single biggest important project we have in Cutler Bay, the most expensive one we have besides our legacy park. And that's something that, again, it's restoring the flowway to those hydration of over those 500 acres of wetland restoration and improving the water quality. Think about it. It all connects, right? The Caribbean Boulevard Bridge, that water comes out of the Tiffany into that outfall, goes down that canal, down Caribbean, and without anything else, it goes right up past that lock and go right into the bay. This here is going to allow, when the water levels are high, the pump house will then pump that water through 232 Street. Let's see if I have it here. Yeah, it'll go down 232 Street, parallel 232 Street, underneath 97th, underneath 87th to hydrate those 500 acres that'll treat the water before it hits the bay and the seagrass. So it's all interconnected. All right, any questions regarding restorations or questions? All right.
Not about restoration, but something else. Is there a town ordinance regarding the number of cars allowed in a single family home, as more homes have cars parked beyond the driveway's capacity, affecting neighborhood appearance and class?
So we don't have a ordinance regarding limiting the number of cars. We do have an ordinance of how big your driveway can be in terms of impervious area. So we don't have that. We do know that you cannot block the sidewalks. I mean, we have a lot of residents that call us and email us almost on a weekly basis, and some of the neighborhoods that you see folks just blocking the sidewalks, and we go out there with our police department, our neighborhood resource unit officers, and then we also have some communities that just like parking on the street, and that obviously is not legal, and because that prohibits a lot of our first responders to respond to calls and fire trucks and what have you. So long answer, no, we don't have one.
And our questions, if the drains and streets in the second half of Saga Bay are going to be worked on.
Yes, that's 100%. Yes. I mean, in fact, the Saga Bay community has probably seen almost like every other year a project, that we've done there. Some of them are award-winning projects, that we have received. So yes, that is an area. If I had a graphic of repetitive loss claims with FEMA, you'll see a bunch of little red dots around the Saga Bay community. And we use that negative to a positive to apply for grants. So that way, again, folks, when we apply for these grants, it's very, very competitive. Sometimes it goes to the 4th decimal point, and any advantage we could use. And unfortunately, that was a negative in terms of repetitive losses there in Saga Bay. But yes, the rest of Saga Bay, our goal is to have the entire Saga Bay completely done. Okay. We have.
Rehydration project posted somewhere, detail.
Okay, the question is the rehydration project. I guess you're talking about the $1 million appropriation that we received from Congressman Salazar, direct appropriation, going to funnel through FDEP. It is, if it's not posted somewhere, I don't know if it was part of my report or the lobbyist report to the town council. If not, Yanir Vega, he could, just give me your information. We'd be more than happy to. I'll give you what we have right now, because that's something I think it's a very interesting project. In fact, I just had a meeting with the Durham director and her top officials last week. And where we talked about having some type of joint venture with Miami-Dade County Durham, because I think that we could sit there and save a lot of money if Miami-Dade County Durham enters in this project. Yes, Miami-Dade County Durham, I'm formally requesting from you, and as I did before, where they could be partners, right? I mean, no offense to consultants, but I'm going to sit there and pay a consultant to design something that has to be approved by Durham. Okay, let's have Durham enter into a partnership with us, design something that's not just a typical water quality improvement project, right? Now it's wordsmithing. It's not a water quality improvement project. It's a what? Wetland restoration rehydration project. It gets more attention at that point, right? So that's how we were able to pass through Congress. Thank you, Congressman Salazar, for that. And I think that it's a $1 million appropriation, and I think that we could save a lot of money if Miami-Dade County Durham partners up with us and helps us design that as well. Because actually, it was originally their conceptual idea. It just never came to fruition. We picked it up and used that to justify. Again, talk about justifying. We had to go through Congress and the Senate, appropriations committees. To receive that $1 million. But yes, so Yanir Vega, he could be more than happy to provide you the information that we have. Okay, folks, I promise you it's gonna be the last chapter. I wanted to end that with some of the stuff that's going on right now. We have our fiscal year as the budget season for us right now, as I mentioned before. I think this is important. I'll just give a second for everybody to look at this. Is our financial stability and sustainability strategic goal. Fiscal viability of the town is a primary concern of its elected officials, its residents, and its employees. Short and long-term financial stability is critical and important to the ultimate realization of the town's vision. This service area has 4 components: fiscal responsibility, fiscal transparency, capital building programs, and growth management. So that's something right out of our strategic master plan that I wanted to start off with. So as I mentioned before, budget workshops, not required by the state, but it's a Cutler Bay thing, as I call it, right? And we have 3 of them. We just had our first one, but visiting on July 31st. Our second one we just had on August 19th. Our third one, commercial plug, is going to be this Thursday, right? Okay, this Thursday at 6 o'clock. Now, the budget hearings are state mandated. You have to have 2. They cannot conflict with Miami-Dade County School Board or Miami-Dade County. So all the cities wait for those 2 agencies, and then they start securing their dates. Our dates were secured. First hearing will be September the 10th. And our second hearing will be September the 24th. And all the meetings are at 6 o'clock, town council chambers, but they'll also be viewable via Zoom and rebroadcast on Facebook. So how do we get the word out? Well, on July, we did an email blast to over 4.8 thousand residents regarding our workshops. We also have a Cutler Bay newspaper. We have the center pages once a month. You open the newspaper, it's all our stories there. We had their upcoming hearings. We also posted on our town's main website. And we displayed it on our electronic message boards, both on Caribbean Boulevard and on Marlin Road as well. So what did the council do? The first thing we did was we had to set what we call the millage rate ceiling. What's that ceiling? 3.0006. What that means is $3.0006 for every $1,000 of assessed value of your property. Okay, as you follow this, I always tell people, you want your assessed value to be $1. That's what you're paying taxes on, right? You want your appraised value to be 3 million, right? That's what you get your equity line on, right? So our current millage rate is $2.833 per $1,000 assessment. What do we do? That's setting the ceiling. And if you follow us in my first budget visioning workshop and our second budget visioning workshop, that's what you're going to see advertised, 3.006 millage. But what I told the council is that we're going to be developing our budget based on the current millage rate of 2.8332. So what did this resolution do? It set the millage ceiling. And then we actually set the 2 budget hearings, as I mentioned before, Tuesday, September the 10th at 6 p.m. And the second one's Tuesday, September the 24th at 6 p.m. in the very own council chambers. I want to spend a second here because a lot of times folks people say, well, we pay a lot of taxes in Cutler Bay. Well, folks, we're actually the 8th lowest in the county there. We're at sorry, sideways there, but that's the only way we kind of can see it there. 2.8332 there. And you can see some of our friends and properties that are ahead of us. You have Doral, Aventura, you have unincorporated Miami County, you have Bell Harbor, you have Sunny Isles, you have Miami Lakes, Palmetto Bay, and Pinecrest. Folks, we're right there, one of the lowest ones there in that spectrum. Then we're very proud of that, our low millage rate there. Now, you have to pay school board and other associations there, but at least for Cutler Bay, it's $2.83. Okay, here I think it's something important to highlight. If you can move that box out, if I see it there, is there a way to move that little box there? It's like right on top of my number. You see it there? The reason why I'm saying to folks there, I just want to highlight the fact what we have in our reserves. I don't know if the clerk can move that box there. All right. Okay, try it. Okay, don't worry about it. You're good? Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so they moved the little box there. The one point that we want to highlight the box. So this is just the history of our fund balance reserve going back from when we first incorporated 2006. Folks, I'm very proud to announce that we have in our fund balance reserve over $26 million in our fund balance reserve. We call that rainy day fund. And that you're going to see how it's going to all interconnected with our bond rating, our financial feasibility, and provides the ability to have a rainy day fund for any type of property acquisitions or what have you. So thank you, clerk, for moving that little box there. Okay, and I think our millage rate, as I mentioned before, yes, we adopted a ceiling of 3.06. That's not the adopted millage rate. What that's the ceiling rate. The 2.8332 is something that administration is going to be basing on budget on this year. So as you can see there, we've been flat for the last 3 years at 2.8332. Our third budget workshop, if you've been following us, now is going to have what we call special revenue funds. A lot of our grant funds, stormwater utility funds, special revenue. You heard me talk about PTP funds, ARPA funds, FDOT grant funds. This budget workshop now will have all the funds put together. So that provides the council an opportunity publicly, all of them collectively, to provide comments, even though I meet with them individually leading up to these meetings here. So it provides a lot of transparency there for the residents to provide comments on. So truth and millage, you're going to have what's called the trim notice. It's going to be mailed out. And in fact, some folks already started receiving it this weekend. And what's that? First of all, it tells you the folio number. Our town folio number is 36. So people say, hey, I live in Cutler Bay. Okay, what's your folio? 36. Then you're in Cutler Bay, right? That's our folio number, 36. And then we also have this year, we're going to have, as I mentioned, the stormwater utility fee that we moved away from Miami-Dade County Water Sewer Department doing the billing to the property appraiser doing the billing. There, we just by having that little move, we saved over $117,000 just having one agency do the billing for us instead of another agency. Same amount, $90 per year, which equals $750 per month. And that hearing date, because it's treated just like the ad valorem taxes, is called a non-ad valorem service fee, a tax which is going to be on September 10th. Residents come in, and a lot of folks received the notice, which we're going to talk about here shortly. This was the notice that was mailed out to over 14,000 property owners. This is going to be something that's going to be occurring every year now. Thank you, Vice Mayor Callahan, assisted with a public information video there, and myself explaining the process. And then also on August the 21st, there was an ad, right? It was an ad. It was already put out in the Miami Herald. So those are all the requirements for the state: mailing the notices and the ad. What you'll see here when you get your trim notices, last year's notice, you'll see highlighted there. It's going to tell you the first meeting of our budget hearing is going to be when the budget hearing is going to be. And then obviously new for this year, you'll have there, we wrote that in their stormwater utility fee of $90 per year. And it'll provide you the hearing dates. Now, I know that different ways residents communicate with our town, and I know everybody has a busy schedule. Again, as I mentioned, we have 11 town council meetings per year, third Wednesday of the month. We have 5 budget workshops / hearings that we have throughout the month of July, August, September. Open mic night that I host both on April and August. We also have, again, our yearly events that we have. Again, 17 signature events. You could, run into the council members there, myself, department staff, very informal. We also have our e-notifications that we have that you can sign up. I always tell folks, you want to know what's going on in town, go onto our website. It takes 30 seconds to sign up for e-notification. You're going to get bombarded with emails, special events, and what have you. You don't have to sit there and say, what's going on this week in Cutler Bay? You can just email it. And then obviously we have direct messages from social media that we have, Rod Gibson, our communication manager. His office is literally 7 feet from my office. So I mean, we're in constant communication. And as I mentioned, monthly e-newsletters that we have throughout that Rod puts together all the different stories on. So thank you, Rod, for that. And lastly, we have, 24 hours a day. If you have a service request, once you submit that request, it goes to the appropriate departments. I monitor that, make sure there's follow-up there. And then another quick plug, we have our Cutler Bay Open, which is going to be on Saturday, September the 14th. It has been sold out. I mean, last year, I think we raised over $14,000 to our foundation. And what do we do with that $14,000? We give it back to the community. Any nonprofit can apply as long as they can prove that they're servicing residents of Cutler Bay, and we provide them grants up to $2,500 per year regarding that. And then we also have our second annual Hispanic Heritage Celebration. Is going to be on Saturday, September the 28th at Cutler Ridge Park from 4 to 8 p.m. Again, one of those other type of events that we have that you can have a nice informal setting for the council. So again, I know it's a long presentation, but I know if there's any questions from the residents of the audience and folks online, this is the opportunity.
Yeah, we have only one.
Okay.
If you can talk more about why we disable comments on our social media.
Okay. So that's a great comment. We get that comment all the time. Why we disable comments on, that's just been my decision to disable the comments there. I didn't want to have just someone just kind of dominating the message. I mean, we have opportunity for direct messages to our communications manager. And it's just been my decision not to have that because I want people to listen to us, not listen to the banter back and forth. So that was just a policy decision on my behalf. Okay.
No more questions.
Any questions? Yeah, come on up. I know. And just come on up. I want the folks to hear the question.
Just a point of education for me. Where is the $27 million slush fund invested or stored, or is it liquid?
Okay,
How do you handle that?
Okay, so it's not a slush fund. It's actually what's called the fund balance reserve. It does have some restrictions. It is right now in TD Bank. We've never got to the point that we wanted to kind of park that money in some type of different types of investment. We kept the conservative approach of keeping it parked at a low interest right there. I didn't want to get to the point of doing a really high interest rate because we still have some major projects that we have going on there. I mean, we got our Legacy Park project. We were able to move really, really quick when we needed to buy that 3.5 acres, that we took the money out of that and reimbursed ourselves with a TD Bank loan, to reimburse ourselves. So we haven't got to that point yet, but we're getting close to that point of doing some type of aggressive investments on it. But right now, I just kind of parked it like we treat it like it's our own money. We just kind of parked it there, that rainy day fund. Again, it only takes a couple events. The Tropical Storm Alex, right? The 26 inch in Saga Bay. That was almost nearly $700,000. There was no declaration. No declaration. So imagine me saying, oh, but that money's parked over here. That's why we've taken the conservative approach. We've taken that conservative approach with that. I mean, we've actually had the financial planner come in and talk to us about, different options there. I would sit there and say, I would be ready to make that recommendation to the town council after we finish some of these major projects that we have. I don't want to sit there and shortchange our projects just because I wasn't able to access that money, just to make it a signature project. For example, we have $37 million for the 16-acre Legacy Park. $3.5 million is already in the design phase. We know that it's a brownfield. We know there has to be some cleanup efforts there. And we know that at the end of the day, the graphic I showed you, we have, almost 50,000 square foot of building and a pool. So once that major project is done, and we said, okay, that's all past us. And we see some of the major development that's coming up. Number one. Number two, when we have our first bond issuance, okay, we want to make sure that we show a healthy portfolio to the investment clearinghouses in Wall Street, as I call it. Right. So when we sit there, and right now, if you, I think it was during our second budget workshop, our finance director, Robert Daddario, mentioned that we're having a meeting with Moody's to show the financial warehouses how solvent we are, so that way it gives us a good favorable credit rating, Moody's rating. I mean, an A++ versus a A1 is completely different. I mean, we save, several $100,000 in the loan there. So it's a long answer, but that's the answer that I have for now. Once we finish those projects, then we'll look at long-term investment strategies there. But right now, we're just taking the conservative approach of parking it right now.
No more questions.
No more questions, all right? Any other questions? Yeah, coming up.
Quick question about the stormwater utility. You said that we're taking it over for Cutler Bay. The rate's not gonna change for, I guess, this year, but what does it look like in the future year? Is there gonna be a cap? Because I work for the water and sewer department in Miami-Dade, and I've seen it separately where I see the city has taken over. And yes, it's great in the first year, but then I have a lot of water complaints of the stormwater being charged at a high rate. Let's say Coral Gables went up triple 1 year. So do we have a cap for Cutler Bay? Is it going to change? Or are you going to reflect Miami-Dade County's rate for the stormwater? Is it going to stay the same? So you're going to mimic Miami-Dade and we're just collecting it? Or are we going to have a little bit higher because we want to make sure it's maintained properly? I want to know what that rate change looks like.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and thank you for the question, and thank you for working with our friends from Miami-Dade Water and Sewer Department. So the stormwater utility, we've had that utility since 2000 and, help me out here, 2010, when we took it over from Miami-Dade County. When we took it over from Miami-Dade County, it was $4 we call an ERU, single family home, $4 a month. Okay. We commissioned a study, right? We commissioned a study because we've been so aggressive getting grants and cleaning our storm drains, that project, actually, if you watched us in our council meetings, finance director and our external auditors said, hey, your stormwater fund in the last 3 years, we're operating on a deficit. I said deficit. It's not always good news. We want to come out in front of it and say, you know what, here's our external auditor, it's in a deficit. Our finance director on our quarterly updates, it says, hey, you're operating at a deficit. Right there, to the council, hearing that. What do? Commission a study. We had a consultant come in and do a study. Public involvement meetings, 3 people. We had a public involvement meeting, right? Consultant comes back, you know what? Your rate should probably be $14 a month. I go, what? $14 a month? It's 4, right? So we said, you know what? No, let's look at, see what we could do in terms of maybe scaling back some of our projects, because it would go from 4 to 14. We came back and the rates were now are $7.50. It's the same rate that was on the WASA bill, except it's going to be on your tax bill. In fact, if you watch the video that we posted, a little hidden treasure there is that if you pay your tax bill in November, you get a 4% discount. You don't get that on a WASA bill. There's no like pay early and get a discount on WASA bill. Like on a WASA bill as well. You know, so there's a little hidden percentage. I mean, okay, 4% of $90, it's a discount. Okay, so we had to actually budget less 4% because we know a lot of folks pay their bills, tax bill in November. Our revenue goes up with tax bill in November. So study was done. We kept it. We held the line at $7.50. And that's what we're holding on to. And again, the $4 that we went from 4 to 7.50 was just recent, So for over like 10 years, we were always stuck at the same rate. And we've actually compared. And in fact, if you give your information to Yanir Vega, our stormwater utility, part of my transparency, my manager's memo, when we went from the 4 to 7.50, we listed all our neighboring cities. What's everybody else doing? And what are we doing? And what's the fund used for? Storm drain cleaning, you know, the maintenance of the street sweeper, you know, as well. All of our compliance reports that we have to do. Part of that CRS rating, that's what funds the CRS, not your ad valorem taxes, the stormwater. It's an enterprise fund. Enterprise fund is like you run like a business. And our external audit said for the last 2 years, we've been losing. So what do? We increase it some. And then that's when we start looking at every different way we could save. Absolutely. If I could save from WASA, no offense to WASA, they're great partners, billing versus our property appraiser, and I save $117,000 just doing paperwork, man, I'll do that paperwork all day. That's $117,000 going right back to the community. So it's right now it's at $7.50. And any type of rate increase would go through a normal progression, but I don't see it happening now because we just increased it. So hope that answers your question. Okay.
No more questions.
No more questions. All right. And if we have no more questions from the audience, I mean, again, I'll stick around for some of the folks that are here, you know, offline, after party, whatever you want to call it, you know. And again, on behalf of the mayor and town council, you know, thank you for, you know, taking time to listen to this. And again, this is going to be rebroadcast as well. We'll push this out, you know, in the next couple of days as well through our social media outlets. And thank you for the comments, great interaction, and thank you very much. Take care.